Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video, and this is a paid request for Lucas. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, movie reviews, re-reviews, random thoughts, streams, commentaries, tier lists, rankings, whatever the case may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. Do have a CashApp as well. The links are down below in the info box, and I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. For those who sent them, thank you. I do appreciate it. And this is for Ben 10 Season 4, but it's for 6 episodes. So, about half the season. So, a bit shorter than the others. That's fine because I've said before, I'm getting a bit burned out on Ben 10, I will say. But apparently, there's a lot of different versions of Ben 10. There's like Ben 10 Alien Force, there's Ben 10 this and that. Apparently, there's some live action films. But from what I understand so far, maybe like after a break, maybe if Lucas wants to, he could request more Ben 10 stuff, whether there's other games or other, was it Ben 10 movies, live action, other shows, perhaps after a break. That's up to Lucas, of course. But I will admit, I mean, before I get into this, I don't mind the show. Ben has grown on me as a character. I don't mind Gwen. I'm not really into the Gwen-centered episodes, but I think her and Ben can have some fun. They're cousins, but I still think of that sibling rivalry where they goof on each other to remind us that they are still kids. I like the grandpa character. I like that he's voiced by the guy from the Colonel and Metal Gear Solid. I like some of the different alien forms. Some I wish were used a lot more. For example, I don't know why Heat Blast and the Diamond Guy, like, they get put in the back burner. But anyway, before I go further, the 6 episodes here. I guess you could say the overarching story here is, in one of the early seasons, there's these knights, kind of Templar knight type of guys. And there's one guy named Enoch who is a villain, but then in this episode, by the end, the leader takes over the Forever Team. He becomes one of our big villains of the season. So in episode 1, things seem to be going very well. The perfect breakfast, impressing girls, everything seems to be going fine. Then finds like another Gwen and Grandpa, and he's confused as to what's going on. Then you come to find out that he's in a dream, and before the episode started, he was captured and put in this perpetual happy dream because the knights want to take the watch off. Grandpa and Gwen have this device in the RV that they're able... I did it. The grandpa was a plumber, as in he was... Think of him as the Men in Black. But I'm like, really? He has this type of stuff in his fucking RV? He just happens to have this thing that could send brainwaves to go into Ben's dream? How convenient. I do like his ultimate nightmare is at school. So you think, oh my god, it's going to be this big, hellish place, and of course, it's school. And even Gwen's like, of course, your ultimate nightmare would be books. Eventually, the bad guys get there. Ben becomes Super Ben with a cape and an outfit. And then he turns he turns Grandpa into Super Grandpa, and Gwen into a hero, but an animal as well. I'm like, well, couldn't you turn them into one of your alien forms? Like, turn Grandpa into Heat Blast, or turn her into the Diamond Guy, but no, whatever. They gotta be heroes with capes. I'm like, why? Why can't you be, like, if it's your dream and you could just be whoever, why not just be your alien forms? But, okay. Defeat the bad guys, gets out of the dreamscape, puts the bad guy into his own perpetual dreamscape, And there you go. I mean, I didn't mind the idea that you don't quite know what's going on at first, and the reveal that this is all a dream, and so I didn't mind that. It creates some mystery for the viewer at the beginning. Like, I don't know about the Super Ben stuff at the end. I'm like, you have all these. I think the alien designs are a lot cooler than Super Ben, but that's just me. But I mean, not a bad way to start it. The second episode, I'm so sick and tired of this fucking bad guy, Dr. Animo. If, like, every season, every other, they gotta have this fucking guy come back. He was in the future in the first episode of season 3. He was in, like, why does he have to be in every was he really that fan favorite of a villain? But of course he's doing experimentations on animals. Our three main characters are on the beach. He plays in the water as the sea creature Ripjaws. No one wants to play with him, so he gets a bit upset. There's these mutant seagulls because of Dr. Animo. And then Ben finds another power, Ditto. This little white. I like the design. The design is cute. And he finds out that he can clone and multiply this character. So I didn't mind the design, I didn't mind the power, and also the voice is Rob Paulsen. Rob Paulsen was the voice of Raphael in the 80s Ninja Turtles cartoon, Donatello in the 2012 Ninja Turtles cartoon. I do like Rob Paulsen. I think he's a good voice actor. He's done a lot of different characters throughout the decades. So I thought that was cool to hear his voice. Granted, I mean, it served its purpose here because he uses it so he's not playing by himself. Ultimately, one of them gets caught. The doctor uses that body, to get a bit of his DNA so that his own creatures can multiply. But then Ben has that creature, which, by the way, the inconsistency of how long this fucking watch lasts. Sometimes it feels like it lasts only a couple minutes, like 3 minutes, if that. Here, it lasts so long that the doctor grabbed him, went all the way to his fucking underwater lab, whatever the hell it was, put him in a tube, tested him, got the DNA, created multiple successful copies. Gwen, Grandpa, and the other 3 dittos got over there. And then it starts. I mean, how fucking long was that? Why is it that sometimes it's like 2 seconds or 2 minutes, and other times just whenever it's convenient? There's no consistency on that. And also for the future, because there was a few times that character's used, it feels like that only will pop up if he did it by mistake, because otherwise these other forms would be better put to use instead of this little guy. Because he's not strong, he's not fast, he could copy himself, but I'm like, you get much more done as forearms or heat blast or other stuff. So I like the appearance of Rob Paulsen. I don't mind the alien form, again, the design wise and stuff. Ultimately, the multiple copies attack the main one, because once the main one was down, all the clones, they go down as well. And everything's hunky-dory. Episode 3, this sorcerer guy that was in one of the older seasons, I think season 2, he he wants to be young. Eventually, somehow, this water he needs leads to this carnival where it's like the dunk contest where you sit and someone hits the ball and you grandpa gets dunked in the water. Some of it gets splashed on Ben and the watch. So now grandpa is about 10, 12 years old. Ben's about 4 years old. And so when he turns to these forms, they could be much more childish, like Stinkfly. A big part of this episode is his farts, where he unleashes his farts and they kill these plants and other stuff. I'm like, is this what we're doing? We're really doing like elongated fart jokes? Is that what we're doing? Show? Is that where we're going towards? Is that the direction we need to? If you don't know, I do not like fart jokes. I think they're the bottom of the barrel in terms of comedy. Even Blazing Saddles, as funny as that movie is, I never cared for the campfire scene. The bean, no. Never cared for. I don't like that kind of humor. I think it's stupid, it's eye rolling, it's cringy. The only thing I got a chuckle out of is when he became the tiny heat blast. Gwen talked shit to him, so he has like a meltdown. Because he has a meltdown tantrum, the heat encompasses all this stuff and burns up all the water that's the fountain of youth and stops the bad guy. And then this other guy that knows what's going on, he says it's just temporary, so your grandpa and Ben will change back. And Gwen's like, what about you? You've been taking this fountain of youth? Well, I guess I just have to start acting my age. But then you never see him again. You just see Ben, Gwen, them going on the RV. But I don't think you ever see that guy. So you never see him like the older guy. For all I know, he turned to a fucking skull and bones. Because I don't think we ever see the old version of him. If you do, I apologize. I missed it. If you don't, I thought that was a weird choice. But I'm just not bait on that villain. The stinking farts doing it a bunch was not, my kind of humor. It was kind of cool seeing the other versions, the aliens as young. I wish we could have seen more of that. Heat Blast, Diamond as a small one, etc. This one I thought was really the only solid episode I saw, which is Ben thinks that he thinks that he accidentally broke his cousin Gwen's computer. He needs some money, so he goes to this wrestling competition for $10,000. That's what you do when you win. So he goes through these wrestling matches as forearms, and he wins a couple matches, including this double team where he's got to fight this porcupine mutant and this, I don't know, like gator, crocodile, kind of that type of guy. And they even double team him, and he ultimately defeats them. But then comes to find out that those two were there because their mom is going to lose the farm. They got in some bad business with some mafioso type of guys, and they have their mom hostage. So Ben, he accidentally turns to Ditto, so it's another Rob Paulson appearance, clones himself, and of course that'd be because of a mistake. It's like, nah, he wouldn't use that on purpose. No, of course it was a mistake. Just for some reason we have this occurring thing I said before that the watch fucks up, and I still don't know why the watch fucks up. I'm sure they explained it. I'm damn sure they explained it, but I fucking forgot. But it's like either like the watch, like why is it that the watch? Sometimes it works perfectly fine and he can do it, and sometimes it just randomly wants to not do what it's supposed to do. At least have a reason, like it got hit and it malfunctions from time to time or something like that. I don't know. But I like that the lizard, crocodile guy, and the porcupine, that they were kind of, they were the sons of this human. The lady is human, so I'm kind of wondering what their whole story is. Did she adopt them? And we don't really get a backstory of them. But I kind of like the two of them, how close they were as brothers, even though they're very completely different species, how close they are to their mom. It's kind of funny, Rob Paulson is a really good voice actor, so it was nice to see him utilize this character in order to defeat the bad guy. The whole wrestling angle was kind of fun. He got some decent action bits there. So overall, I thought that was a fun episode. Some interesting new characters. Shows this world. I mean, it's funny how in season one it felt like this whole alien thing was such a crazy concept, and now by this season, yeah, there's a wrestling match where there's a guy who looks like a porcupine and there's a guy who looks like a fucking alligator or crocodile, whatever, and no one blinks an eye. Yeah, it's all fine. I'm like, really? I just to be fair, in an earlier season, we find out there's a superhero team of aliens, including one that's a brain in a jars, and so I guess this world was not as typical as you thought in the beginning of season one. Then episode 5 and 6, they're with the grandson of this plumber. I kept thinking it was a girl, but I think it was supposed to be a boy. Because he's got Goldilocks hair like a girl, and he kind of looked like a girl, but I guess it's a guy. A boy, I guess. And he joins, I forget what the fuck reason. Eventually, some bad guy steals some stuff from Fort Knox. It's that this sub-energy power source. And then you find out the Forever Teen, he has a group of his own. He calls the Negative 10. Does he have Big 10? And he got the Negative 10. I'm not going to talk much about this because this was so anticlimactic and fucking lame. Just, oh wow, Ben has to face like 10 villains? That seems really crazy, and maybe he's able to work his watch and he'll use this alien for this or this alien for this. No, not really. Because by the next episode, they're by Mount Rushmore, and Mount Rushmore has these defenses that shoot at the bad guys. The RV has these defenses that shoot at the bad guys. They hide in Mount Rushmore and other places, and Grandpa has these defenses and weapons. Gwen, throughout the show, has become more of a sorceress and to do all these powers and stuff. And then Ben doesn't really do a whole lot. At least that's what it felt like. I'm not saying he does nothing, but not as much as you would think with the idea in your head of Ben going against 10 bad guys. This is very disappointing. And eventually he turns to that creature from the end of season 3, the little guy that's like Kirby. Imagine Kirby if he was a green lizard looking guy. He could swallow stuff and spit projectiles out. He does that to the Forever King to fuck up his armor. And then our main three realize they kind of, because these bad guys actually fucked up Mount Rushmore. But yeah, that was just so just disappointing and lame and anticlimactic, and I don't know. I didn't really care for that. I wish it was Ben doing it himself, and that would have been like that should have been like a grand finale of the season. All hope is lost. Ben is able to control, maybe able to do what he did in season 1, where he could turn to different creatures, and now he's able to do that, and then for this short amount of time, or is limited to the certain time limit before it goes back to having this. It drains and you gotta wait and do it again. I don't know. Just I would have preferred Ben himself doing it with the different creatures he has. And again, I don't like that some of his cooler forms are never or rarely used, like Heat Blast, like the Diamond Guy, among others. They always have to like create new and new and new ones to sell more toys. The writing, I don't think is as strong as it could be when you're at season 4 now. And again, maybe it's just because I've just kind of burnt out on Ben 10, and it'd be time to just take a break. But I do have a video game that Lucas wants me to play of Ben 10. I look forward to that. I figured I'd do that after this. And then there's a movie. I guess there's multiple movies, but there's one movie you want me to do. So who knows if Lucas still wants to request more Ben 10 stuff in the future, I don't mind, as long as there's a bit of a break. Maybe be some of the live action movies, maybe some of the other types of shows, maybe the other seasons. Who knows? That's up to him. But I think at this point I'm just kind of burnt out on Ben 10. So yeah, I wasn't really big on this season except the wrestling episode I liked. Other than that, the first episode was okay. I liked the Rob Paulson being involved because I liked that voice actor. I don't mind the alien form, although he's not as useful as you would think he would be. Overall, yeah, it is. It was what it was. But eventually, we'll begin to the video game as well as the movie. Uh, Secrets of the Omniverse. I don't have the full. I have it written down, so we'll get to that eventually. But thank you once again, Lucas, for your kindness, your generosity, and your patience. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye for now.